Hey everybody, this is Pissed Rhino. Thought I'd do a little short video today to discuss a couple things that were brought up in the comments or in one of the Facebook groups. One will be shocks and oil, and the other one's the batteries going to 3S, from 2S to 3S. Now I know that don't affect a lot of people, but if you've got the Lizard Pro or Lizard Ultimate ESC, you can do 3S, and so we'll get into that in a little bit. First, I had a question. Now, I tried running these on Mega Build, and due to the spacers I had, it hit the inside of the wheel, and I couldn't run these. These are the Endura Comp tires with Maz Designs turbine style wheel, beadlock, real beadlock. And then this is what I had on there. The big difference is these have the extra weights that I put in them, and these are LGRP, Little Guy Racing products, Swamp Kings, and they're really sticky. Some of the best tires I've ever seen, but on a comp crawler, the pins could be just as good. Some wanting an opinion. So we've got comp pins with Maz Design wheels versus Little Guy Racing Swamp King tires with Trio wheels and Maz Designs beadlock. Both of these are a true beadlock wheel. No screws on the back, as you can see. So the way you build these is with a true beadlock, just like any truck with beadlock wheels. So anyway, I'd just like to get your opinion. You can see I got the front all done. Here's another thing I want to show you. Is I put a lot of time into greasing my parts, making sure everything's aligned 100% properly. And this is through the diff. It's just free spinning. And you can see, so there's no rubbing or anything through these portals. So you got your portals, you got your axles, and you got your diff gears and your output shaft and all that. Just every one you build should be just like this. Anyway, I thought that was it shows you the time and attention that you put into a project. It's worth it. I mean, these are something you could just throw together. And if you're just, working with stock parts, you're not going to get that kind of quality. So yeah, maybe it doesn't really matter if you take your time or not. But for me, I like to build it properly and make sure everything's smooth as I go. That way, at the end, it's all smooth. So anyway, let me know on the wheels and tires what you think. I know this is a red build, and these are purple and bronze. Shoot. Oh, I can't remember the word for it now. Anyway, I'll come back to that later, but let me know what you think as far as wheel and tire for this build. The only big difference is width. I think these are like a 24 and these are like a 19, so there's a big difference in width. Height, the pins might be a little taller, but and then the wheel size, the Maz Designs are like a 15-inch wheel compared to a 20-inch wheel on the other one. So let me know on that. I figured whatever you guys think is best, I'll run just for the heck of it. Next up is, I want want to talk about shocks. There's a bunch of different parts to a shock. And this is kind of rudimental. If you know this, I apologize. But I know there's a lot of people out there that don't, so I wanted to go through all the parts of a shock and filling it with oil, all that good stuff. I don't remember where I put all my oil. Alright, so you got your shock body, you got your upper eyelet and your lower eyelet, pretty standard design. You got your shaft. This is what you'll read about as a 2.5, 3.0, or a 3.5 shaft, somewhere in there. You got your lower cap. And then you have some O-rings in the bottom. That's what keeps the oil inside the shock. And then on top, maybe, and these on here. There we go. You got your cap. Some of them have a diaphragm in there. This one does not. These are cheaper shocks. These aren't like hot racing or GPM or anything. Inside you can see the oil, I hope. So, fill-in shocks, actually there's a couple other pieces. You can, I don't know if you can see, I can't see through the camera, so. There's little holes in the seal in there, and that's what allows oil to go in and out. The bigger the holes, the faster it'll go up and down. The less the amount of holes, the harder it'll be to go up and down. So more dampening. So adjustments can be made. Even on cheap shocks, you can drill more holes into it to make it go faster, or you can pull it out. There's just a little E-clip that holds it on. Pull the E-clip off, and then you can get that out, and then you can clean it all off, and you can super glue holes. You can fill holes in to make it stiffer. So that's one adjustment you can make. Now, oil, when you put oil in, I suggest putting about half in there, and then cycle the shock. And that gets oil going up and down. So this is how you get rid of the air. So then you pull it fully down after you've cycled it. Then you fill it up almost to the top. And then you put your cap back on. And that's how you properly oil a shock. Put half the oil in, cycle it in and out to get all the air out. Pull it to the bottom. Then top it off and put your cap on. Other adjustments. I'm getting oil all over me from that. Sorry guys, this is kind of, I don't know, a more casual type video of mine. Just because I don't have a ton of parts to go over, so I can take my time and let you guys know what I think here. So what a lot of guys will do is once they'll make this dampening stiff enough to where you don't have to run springs. And what happens is when you can see that bounce from the oil, that's because it's not fully oiled. But when your car's all sitting flat, it'll be fully compressed because it doesn't have a spring in it. And then when you go over hills, they'll drop. And then when you go flat again, they'll go back up in. So it's just using gravity to run the shock. So if you're just doing crawling, that's great. If you're doing trail driving or any other type of driving, you need the suspension to keep the vehicle from bouncing out of control, and makes it a lot easier to drive with springs in. That's why most people run springs. But if you're just doing crawling, slow crawling, this will be enough. Another adjustment you can do is the bottom cap right there. You can loosen it and make it a much looser dampening. So if I loosen it, doesn't go up as fast. See, the pressure's escaping. Another part, this is how you adjust your spring load. This also can adjust ride height. It's just like a basic coilover. And then you got your lower strut cover. And then you're back to having a full shock again. So again, you have your upper and lower eyelets. You have your cap. You have your coilover piece. I can't remember names today. I'm doing sucky today, but then you got your spring, then you got your mount, and that completes the shock. And like I said, you fill up the shock halfway, cycle it, get all the air out, pull it all the way down, fill it, top it off, and then put the cap on, and you'll have a great working shock. Now, as far as high quality shocks go, the biggest thing I've found is flex. You can see how I'm moving the shaft. That does not happen with good shocks, or it should not. Let's see how the Endurers do. I haven't even tried this yet. So you got these little Endurers here, 59 millimeters, and really there's no flex. Maybe a touch. But you can see these Endurers are so much lighter than these. This is a heavier spring, and that's why you take the springs out. Is the Endurer's spring's so light, it'll move up and down as you go, as you crawl. These would not. The Trx4m is so light that these shocks will never cycle. It'll just be bouncing, because this is never going to cycle. Now you could loosen it up here and make it a little bit better, but for this type shock, you're going to probably 90% of the time have to take that spring off, because they're not designed for the Trx4m. These are designed for the Trx4m and the weight of the Trx4m. So it's very light. It's got a good rebound. All in all, I think those Endura shocks are going to be pretty good. The 53 millimeters were too short for me, so I went with the 59s. We'll see how they go once my chassis gets here. But it's all depending on what kind of driving you're going to be doing. As you can see with Mega, let me pull Mega out. The shocks, I took the springs off of them as well to make them easy to work with the weight of this vehicle. But you can also see they have O-rings at the bottom. This is to keep it from bottoming out. Pretty good addition to an expensive shock like these. But as you can see, even without the springs, well, if it would roll, it would compress. The tires are so sticky that it'll stand up, but it will compress. What else on shocks? Height wise, for me, you know, these are 80 millimeters and the stock ones are 51, 52 millimeters. And the reason I go with such a big shock is because I want to have all that travel. So the travel on this shock, you can see it's about half the travel. Sorry about the dogs. If you guys have seen my videos, you know that I'm home with my dogs. My wife's at work. My kid's in there being a computer hacker, so so that's most of what I know about shocks. Most of my knowledge came from automotive industry and putting coilovers on race cars, things like that. I don't know if you guys know. I don't think I've ever told the video guys here, but I actually did a lot of drag racing and a lot of oval racing, working on cars. I don't actually race. I actually help build the cars and design the parts for it. So, and that was way back when. That was 10 years ago, I think, 15, about 12 years ago, I believe. But I've been in the automotive industry my entire career. Once I graduated college, I went straight into automotive industry, working for many automotive suppliers and getting their quality up to key. And anyway, that's a little bit about me. If you check out my Facebook, you'll see I think I've listed my background. And then I came up with code racing, Morse code racing. And we had the fastest VW Golf R in the world for about 6 months until somebody beat us, and then we were bored with it, so we didn't go any further. So that was always fun. Done a lot with BMWs. Then I got into Hellcats and GT500s, and I'm getting old, so now I just got me a Bronco. I got me a 2-door Bronco. That's my little driver when I drive. It's a 2022 with like 1,000 miles on it, so I don't drive very much, but when I do, that's what I drive now. Alright, enough about me. So if you have any more questions on shocks, just put them in the comments below and I'll try and answer them if I can. The biggest problem you're going to have with the Trx4m and shocks are the eyelets. There's good eyelets, there's bad eyelets. Some don't come with eyelets at all. Some come with solid mounts. And if you want flex, your eyelets have to be loose. Loose. This is what changes everything about your flex. If you have stiff shock mounts, your flex is done. There won't be any flex. Just like if your links are solid and stiff, you won't have any flex. So your links plus your shocks equals flex. That's pretty much the entire build. Everybody's worried about flex. It's links and shocks and how they're mounted. So just like I took the O-rings off of these so that there's more room for flex, same thing you want to do here is if they have O-rings on them and they're stiff, take the O-rings off. Look for different style mounts. The Endura top ones, oh yeah, I forgot. I took the O-rings off the Enduras. So you can see there's one O-ring, no O-ring. So I left one O-ring on the top and took them off the bottom. So these are ready to go whenever my chassis gets here. But so yeah, remove the O-rings if you have to. Other tricks are remove the eyelets all together, and I have, where's that? So I bought some rubber tubing on Amazon, and this will go right over the screw, mounting screw. And then basically, if you took the eyelet out of this, the round part here would just be over the top of this rubber, and the rubber will keep it a little stiff, but not really. Basically, it'll keep any of the shaking or rattling down, and it'll give you good flex. And this you can buy on Amazon. You know, if you got an M2 or M2.5 screw, you get the right inner diameter rubber, and make sure the outer diameter will fit through your shock. Again, I believe I've suggested this a couple times, but yeah, get you a micrometer to do the measurements. With a micrometer, you can measure the inside diameter, the outside diameter, and make sure everything fits together. So this is the last resort, and I've had to do this on some builds, and it works really well. Good thing is you put it on the screw, and when you screw the screw in, this can bunch up a little bit, and that'll really hold that shock in place. You'll still have the flex because it's just a thin piece of rubber, but your shocks won't look all sloppy and loose, because that's one thing you don't want to have. You want your car to look like it was built properly. Like on these, like, you don't want everything loose with big gaps. I mean, these have just a tiny bit of movement. And I've seen some sloppy stuff like this, to where the wheel can like turn 20 degrees just because it's so sloppy of a build. So you don't want that. So pick yourself up some rubber hose, and that'll fix that problem. So you really got to focus on the mounts. You can't just buy a set of shocks and they're going to work. The only way you can do that is if you buy a shock that's made for the Trx4m, and 90% of the time they're too short. You're going to want a little more, oh shoot. Again, my brain is fried today. But you're going to want a little more travel in your suspension. You can see, this is what before Endure came out with these, look at that. The Endure 59 millimeters have more travel than these cheaper Amazon ones, but at the time this travel was much longer than the stock Trx4m. So I know these work really well, so I bet these enjoy. And for the price, these are like $22 for a set of 4. So don't worry about your mounts, don't worry about anything, and just buy these for $22. And you got a set of shocks you know it's going to work. Now, I haven't tried them yet, so don't rush out and buy them right now. give me a week or so once I get the chassis in here, and I'll test them out for you guys. But by all accounts, from what I know and what I've done in the past, those Enjoyers should work pretty good. We'll see. Alright, that's enough on shocks. Again, if I missed anything, which I'm sure I did because my head's all over the place today, but if you have any questions, put them in the comments and I'll try and help you out as best I can. Alright, the next thing we wanted to talk about, which I have no idea where my batteries are. Oh, they're back there. Our batteries. Once I get this packed all back up. Alright, so another thing, I saw a guy that's doing a similar type thing that I'm doing on YouTube. One thing I found very necessary is keep your area clean. If you're working with shocks, work with shocks. When you're done working with the shocks, clean up your mess, put them to the side, get any oil off your mat that you might have. Keep your stuff clean. That way, when you break down a differential or you break down a transmission, you're not getting contaminants inside your grease or inside your gears. It's very easy for a sliver of aluminum that's left on your table to get inside your transmission or diff or anything. So if you want the smooth action, like in my front axle there, keep your stuff clean. It's easy to do. I mean, it's not like this is brain surgery or anything, and it don't have to be perfect. I'm a little bit, compulsive here with my area, but you don't have to be that bad. Just keep all the contaminants up. All right. So, batteries. The regular system is 2S, which is 2 cells, and they're about 3.7 volts per cell. So when you're running 2 cells, you're at 7.4 volts. And you can see the thickness. I wish I have my other one here. Let me pull it out. I'll show you against the stock one. And I'll explain all the numbers to you. Again, I know a lot of you might know some of this, but I figure I'd go over it just for those that don't, because those that don't need to know this. So this is a 2-cell LiPo as well, which is 7.4 volts. This is the one that comes with your vehicle. It's 750 milliamps, milliamp hours. So if you look at the numbers, you've got 7.4, which is the voltage. I have no idea if the camera can see this. 20C, it's like, this is the number of how much it can remove at once. Let's say you have a cup of water, you pour it out slowly, you'll have a 20C. If you pour it out quickly, you'll have 100C. So this gives it to you, the higher the number, the better. It's the more it can give you at once. The milliamp hours, this tells you how long it's going to run. This is how much it holds. So if it holds 750 cups of water and it drains 20 cups a minute, then it's going to last, 37 hours. 37 minutes, that is. So that's how you need to think of it. When you're looking at batteries, you got the voltage. Your normal ESC is only going to run 7.4 volts, 2S. This is how much it can drain at once, and this is how much it has total. I hope that makes sense for everybody. So this one, it's got a pretty good number for a small battery pack. The 20C, that's pretty low for these type batteries. And the other thing is the connection. If you're running a stock ECU, you're going to have to get you a conversion cable off of eBay or Amazon that connects from that to whatever connection you're going to have on your new battery. So that you can take this connection, plug it into that, and then plug this into the ESC, and everything will work great. So you cannot just buy this battery and stick it in the car and go. If you're stock, you cannot do that. You have to have a cable that converts from whatever connection you have here to the connection you have here. So this is solely a Traxxas Trx4m connector. So if you Google it, you will Google, this is a JST connector. So you will Google JST to Traxxas Trx4m, and it should come up with a couple choices. I think Amazon has one. I know eBay has them. All right. So this is a 750 at 20C. You buy these. This is a 2S, but you can see it's much bigger. It's the same width, a little bit longer, and a lot taller. This uses JST plug. This plug here is for balancing. The Traxxas has all three wires go into one. So this power and balance in this one connector. And that's why it's so much different than every other battery out. So when you charge, depending on your charger, you'll have a connection for this and a connection for this so that you balance those two cells. Those two cells need to be as close as possible to each other for the battery to perform well. So this is a generic battery I got off of Amazon. It's 900 milliamp hours, which is, 150 more than this one. That's pretty easy. It's a 7.2S, 7.4 volt, and it's 25C, so it drains just a little bit faster than the stock Traxxas battery. So it holds more, drains just a tad bit faster. So this one's going to last longer. If you do all the math, the 20C and the 750, the 25C and the 900, this one's going to last longer. So if your car is not running as long as you want, then you want to upgrade. I think 900 is the biggest I've found that'll still fit the stock battery tray. And those dimensions are, for all those that need to know, stock battery is 30 wide, 55 length. And honestly, the height doesn't matter because it'll fit in the car no matter how high it is. Now, your rubber thing might not work because your battery is too thick, but then you can always just Velcro it to the tray. I find Velcro is best on these things anyway, but so 30 wide, 55 long, but you can get away with up to about a 60 long and still somewhat fit in the battery tray. It'll stick out a little bit. Let me show you. I wish I had my new battery tray. I could show you real easy. But you can see 30 wide. Ah. 30 wide, slides all the way in to the back of the tray. You can see that there. It's slid in. And then it sticks out just a little bit on this side. Now you wrap these wires up when you put the battery in here so that these aren't in the way, but I'm not going to do that and take the time to do that right now, but you can see a 55. I think this is a 30 by 58. So a 30 by 60 will fit. That's as big as you want to go. Now, once you change your system out to go with Furatech or any Hobby Wing, any of them, whatever you decide to use, as long as they say they support 3S, you can move up to a 3S battery. Now the 3S battery means it's got one more cell. So if each cell is 3.7, you add 3.7 to this and you get 11.1 volts. So you're going from 7.4 to 11.1. So what does that mean to you? Well, that means you've got a lot more voltage. One thing you'll see on these servos, they'll give you a rating at 6 volts and 7 volts and then 8.4 volts. So with a stock battery, 7.4 volts, you can't run these to their maximum because 8.4 volts is what they'll take. To get the highest speed, to get the quickest turning, and the most torque, 8.4 volts is what you need for your servo. Now, if you're running the stock, I'm going to repeat this several times. If you're running stock, 1, you can't go to 3S. 2, your servo don't need 8.4 volts. It's when you're upgrading. That's what most of my channel here is all about, is upgrading. So I'm explaining that to you when the time comes and you're ready to upgrade to the Furatech or whatever. You can get, make sure it says 3S, and if it can handle 3S, you definitely want to try it out. I have not ran 3S on the Furatech yet, just because I had these batteries, and I've just been using them. But so when you're looking at a 3S, it'll say 3S 11.1 volts, and then it'll say anywhere from 20 to 120 C. I found some batteries last night that I've ordered that are 3S 11.1 volts and then 100 C. That means it discharges 4 times as much as this does quickly. And that the C number matters, but only to a certain extent. Your vehicle's only going to use how much it can take. So as long as you're up there, usually 50 to 100 are good C levels. C level, that's funny. Anyway, so I found 3S, 11.1, 100 C, and they were 850 milliamp hours. So it's less of a total amount of energy stored, but it's a 3S, which gives you more voltage output, which makes it worthwhile. So the 3S batteries, what that means is, since the milliamp hours is lower, that means it's going to run out faster. So where this one might last you 30 minutes, the 850 milliamps at 100 C is going to run 9 minutes. So it's a big trade-off. Milliamp hours are important depending on how long you need. If you know there's a comp track you're going to that's a 12-minute comp track, then you're not going to want to run a high discharge, low milliamp battery because you won't make it to the end. So it's just like NASCAR when they're figuring out how many laps they got, or I should say IndyCar, since Indianapolis 500 just ran on Sunday. I'm in Indiana, by the way. So they're figuring out how many miles they have left per the amount of gas they have in their tank. So if you got a full tank on this, you got 900 milliamps, and this one uses 25 ounces out of 9 gallons every minute. Whereas an 850 milliamp running at 100, they're using 100 ounces out of 9 gallons immediately every minute. So you got to figure it out. Most of the time, 10-minute drive is enough. A 15-minute drive, I'm not sure. I'll time it out how long the 3S batteries last that I'm getting. They are a high C, so it should be very powerful. But I'm not sure how long the battery will last, and I'll measure that and let you guys know later on in a later video. So the main advantage of going from 2S to 3S is running at 11.1 volts and providing the highest rate of power to your components. Now, to be able to get that voltage to your components, you do have to go in and set those values in your transmitter, in your ECM. There's values for that. Furotech has an app. You go into the app and you can put it on 8.4 volts. That way your servo is getting the right amount of volts. And you'll have a great running vehicle. So going to 3S, important. Not to most of us, but if you're a high-tech wizard and you're comp crawling or you're got to have the best, then put a 3S in it and you'll be fine. For the rest of us, just run a 2S. Get the conversion cable if you're stock so that you can run a regular battery. The great thing about getting that conversion cable, it's going to be expensive. It'll be $10 to $15. But that cable, what that allows you to do is, this is $30 to $40. These you get 2 for $18. So you can get 4 of these for the price of 1 of those, and all you got to do is buy a $14 cable. So that seems easy math to me. And this will last longer than that. Anyway, to me it sounds like a simple math problem. I'll pay $14 to get my batteries half price, or actually a quarter of the price. So that's Battery Talk 101. Again, if you have any more questions on the batteries or what you should run or what you're thinking, you want to bounce ideas off me, I'm always available. I try to answer my YouTube comments like right away. Same thing with if you go into Facebook and you use Messenger. I'm Samuel Morse in Messenger, and you'll see my little rhino head. If there's a Samuel Morse with a rhino head, that's me. If there's anything that says Pissed Rhino, that's me. Same thing with my Instagram, it's Pissed Rhino. YouTube, I have a Pissed Rhino page, but you can also message me. You need to message me because I don't answer messages on the Pissed Rhino Facebook page. But if you want to message me privately, you can message me on Facebook Messenger and just search for Samuel Morse, Samuel. Last name is Morse, like Morse code. And then look for the little rhino head as the picture, and then that would be me. And that should be easy for you guys to find. If you ever want to text, just let me know. I'll give you my phone number. Matter of fact, my phone number is in a couple comments throughout my video series here. So if you want to text, if you text me, just start out by letting me know who you are and where you saw me and what you need, and we'll go from there. Don't forget about the giveaway. You've got 2 more days, well, 3 more days to enter, basically. I'm going to draw this on Thursday. Well, so you got the rest of today, Wednesday, and then half a day on Thursday. I'm going to probably run it sometime in the evening on Thursday. And then I'll let everybody know who wins, and we'll get some prizes out to somebody. So, due to the amount of people I have entered, I might even do 2 winners, first and second place. First place will get their choice, and then second place will get their choice. What do you think? Think that's a good idea? Comment below. If I get 3 comments that say, please do a second winner, I'll do it. But if you don't, I'm not going to. So I hope you guys watch this video, and I hope you heard what I just said, because potentially there could be 2 people getting prizes. If you comment on this video and say, do 2 winners, please do 2 winners, something like that, in response to what I'm saying right now. So if I get 3 comments of people saying, please do 2 winners, I'll do 2 winners. All right. That's it for today. I should be getting more parts in by the end of the week. So I might try and do a couple more videos later this week. Maybe sooner. We'll see. Thanks for watching. Y'all have a great day. Thank you.